Good afternoon. I know we are toward the end of the day, so I hope we can get the attention of everyone. We have an interesting session today, I think, about technology, talent, building, finance team, and so on. And we have a bunch of great CFOs and financial leaders. And we're going to have some chat about some. I think we had introduction from the lady about everyone and how is it going. So maybe we can jump in to the question right away. Let's start with Naser. Naser, being from public and private sectors, are okay? Being in the private sectors, can you enlighten a bit about the healthcare transformation that happened and the privatization or corporation? This is, a widespread topic that is being talked over, especially lately in the healthcare industry.
Thank you very much for this introduction. Again, probably in linkage what we have been discussing early morning, where most transformational journeys may fail due to the lack of a critical fundamental capitalization on the human factor. Some percentages went that 85% of the companies do have transformational journeys and projects, which like 70 to 75% may fail. Now, we're talking about a transformational journey that is happening in the healthcare sector in Saudi Arabia. You're talking about one of the biggest, if not the biggest, transformational on a service-oriented sector that touch base with very critical service, which is the healthcare of the human being for the citizens. Therefore, it has to be very carefully, tactfully approached to mitigate any risk of a failure that can jeopardize the life of the people and their health and their generation. So, after I will try to have a high-level description of the journey that Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has encountered since 2016, where the Vision Realization Offices has been established and the Vision 2030 has been established. The realization programs came up and the VROs came up. So the reason that this transformation happening is basically at the first stage is to maintain a very strategic objective for the country, to maintain the access to the healthcare and to switch the mobiles off. Sorry for that.
That's an important part, yeah.
So to grant the access, everybody should have the right by the institutions to have the access. The quality of the healthcare has to be increased, and that's what we move from healthcare based on value. So that's what value-based healthcare, the quality of the service that has been rendered. The third one I can remember is to increase the awareness and the prevention of the chronic disease that causes financially and other factors the country for treating the people with the people with the dialysis and hypertension that comes from 40 until late age of the Saudi citizens. And the fourth one was about reducing the traffic safety. And there have been targets for this. Like for the traffic safety, the target is to reach 5 fatality, death out of 10,000 accidents. Now the rate is quite high. It is getting reduced with the new laws of the traffic, but this is the target that they have. There is 100% target to have everybody enrolled in health information systems. It means wherever you go for any governmental hospital, your personal patient file is accessible by any doctor. Your PACS and X-ray results is there, and that has to have technical infrastructure to link all the health information system digital blueprint available at all levels of the kingdom, and the coverage of the service for 88%. So those are the targets for the program. The root cause for this is definitely the inefficiency of the service, inaccessibility. People probably, the satisfaction rate of the service is quite low. So that's what made the new business model happens. I will try to explain, because I keep receiving those questions everywhere out there. What is the healthcare clusters? What is the government? What is the Ministry of Health? Yeah, exactly. What is health holding company? So the business model, the previous one, that the Ministry of Health used to do everything. It's a one-man show. It regulates, it finances, and it runs the operation of all the hundreds of hospitals and primary health care centers in the kingdom. It's a huge burden. The new model, after even many, many visits to the best in classes and benchmarks across Europe, NHS, Spain, Singapore, everywhere, that there has to be a segregation of this duty, where the Ministry of Health has to be the regulator of the health sector in the kingdom, and a health holding company is initiated. That health holding company will convert, will generate an affiliates, like they called cluster. They have like 20 cluster across the kingdom, created based on a geographical location. Each health clusters has a catchment population designated. In Riyadh, we have Riyadh 1, 2, and 3. So northeast, northwest side of Riyadh is the third health cluster, where it covers 14 hospitals and 155 primary health care centers, geographically located. The concept of the health cluster is to corporatize the way we manage the operation and the provisions based on corporatization, governance. It has its own board of director and C-suites. There has to be a key performance measures against the value, and a new model of care that can take us to those strategic objectives that we have mentioned earlier. So health holding company will manage, is the vehicle to hold this hospital clusters and the assets. The regulator is the ministry. Now, who is going to be the funder? Who's going to finance the budget? We have 100 billion plus budget for the health, Ministry of Health. And that's where CNHI came up. Center of National Health Assurance is the payor. It will take the amount of the budget, like let's say 80 billion, and then it will contractually relate with the clusters. I will give you there is a capitation model. How many, let's say for simplicity example, if you're covering your geographically 1 million, then per capita for each person, each beneficiary, there will be like 3,000, 4,000, whatever number, multiplied, and this whole amount, you spend it over preventive health, curative, not only people who visit the hospital, but you will be responsible to increase the wellness and awareness in the schools, malls, shops, everywhere. So that's the mechanism of the healthcare. We are not meant to go for privatization yet, except for certain activity. There is a certain part that will be privatized with the private sector based on a shared and revenue risk module. Yeah. But we mean to go and increase the efficiency of the service. The service will be granted for all citizens by for sure. Nothing will have to change. They will not pay. But non-eligible people can actually utilize the service again and get into the service for payment.
Excellent, excellent.
So this is in a nutshell the model that we are going for.
That's excellent elaboration, Naser. We really thank you for that, because lots of people had some vague area in understanding those. And actually, even in the healthcare, what I understand that it is represent the second biggest budget in the country. right now, and it is spreading all over. But the same concept that you're talking about also applies to other sectors like education and transportation, which we can see now how the privatization and the corporatization that you were talking about. Thank you for that. Moving on to our friend Alhussain, can you just enlighten us a bit about, just changing a bit of that pace, the finance leader balancing the new technology and the team upskilling? How would that happen?
Thank you so much for having me with all financial gurus and tech savvies in this room. To balance the new technology with team upskilling, I think that requires all CFOs here to adopt an integrated approach where we should align each other on how we reinforce one to another. I believe technology and talent are two sides of one coin, each enabling the other to deliver growth. There is a structured approach for this. The first one is to align technology with the strategy. I believe first you should sit with your team and you should be in alignment with all stakeholders in the company. As the previous session talked, it's not standalone. We are pilots. We are finance business partners. We sit with all vice presidents, with the CEO, and we discuss our strategy and our vision and mission and where we're going. And then you cascade that with your team. I believe we should all have an inclusive decision making with them. You bring them in one room and then you discuss for the buy-in. It's better comes that they all agree with you on this journey. It's not an easy journey. And then you ask how and why. How can we reach to that strategy, and why do we need this technology? While you are doing that and you decide on it, I believe you have to do a skill audit. That you look at your team, you have these current capabilities, and you have future needs. So that gap is your job as a CFO to bridge. How you bridge that is it through training, seminars, certification, and to have this finance and IT partnership. I believe this is one of the best marriages that will happen in any company. And as a CFO, you cannot drive innovation without empowering your team and without having really excellent relationship with IT.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And after that, I believe in lead by example. You cannot ask your team to be punctual and come from 8 and leave at 5 if you are not punctual.
Exactly.
So you ask them to drive technology. You gotta be in the training with them.
The example.
Like I remember, it's a funny story. Like I joined them in the first day, and I ordered sweet. The second day, I ordered lunch for them. The third day, I got busy, and they called me. They were like, "There is no lunch today.
What is lunch?
You should come back in the training."
Yeah.
As CFOs here, we also have to allocate budget wisely. There is a link between training and how much you buy this technology and the license. So I believe in staggering rollout. Make it a phased investment. You cannot make it a lump sum. Then you are losing in technology and you are losing like cost from the other side at the same time by having time spending on the employees.
Yeah, absolutely, Alhussain. I think I would maybe add to this that finance leaders are not only in the same finance team, that they should be only engaged in upskilling or, building any team is in the right pace that aligns with the latest technologies, that the very rapidly aggressive technology is not easy. We agree on that, but we need to remember that also we're not alone, and there's other divisions in the same organization that we should take care of. And as previously stated by our previous panel, that finance leaders, they should be driving, if not officially driving, they are the one who impact the others to do that. Okay, just Moving on to Murat, if you can please help us, my friend, tell us, how can finance team effectively adopt new technologies to improve efficiency while maintaining the integrity of their core processes?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a similar topic you touched based on.
But about integrity and
the main topic is always to have the big picture in your mind, right? So the overall strategy of the digitalization of the company. One thing is how is your company perceived as an automotive company? You have a strong relationship with our customers. So it's not just a rational decision, it's also an emotional decision. So how is the customer journey simplified or make it easy for the customer? So from my responsibility, I can support my team with when it comes to financing solutions for our customers. So I can look into a digital journey when it comes to financing cars, on the one hand. On the other hand, it's important to know also as a finance department, what is my financial model, the targeted financial model.
Yeah.
If I know this is the target I want to achieve on my KPIs, on my statements, but also in my systems, I can create the roadmap to it. And as you stated, it's a partnership with IT, definitely.
Exactly.
And
all the way.
we need to look into also, it's not just technology, but it's also people. It's both-sided. So everybody is talking about AI, but AI only, or robots maybe will come quite soon. They will be amongst us, I'm sure. We will maybe even witness this in our lifetime. But definitely there will be humans and people creating that. So it's always, you need to take the people with you, you need to train the people for the new challenges in the future. Maybe resistance will be there, so you need to explain, you need to involve them and give them also empowerment.
Change management, yeah. Great, thank you, Murat. Well, moving to technology. Now we're talking about with Udo and this. Please tell us about the ERP solution, George, and how it helps the finance team become more agile. This is the slogan of our theme today.
Thank you, Mr. Yasser, for that question. Of course, an ERP, if I could expand, just giving you a quick full form, it's an enterprise resource planning software. Now, what exactly are we doing with an ERP software is that we're trying to reflect an entire company in one single place. Now, going back to the question that Mr. Yasser asked is, how does an ERP help a company or a group of companies become more agile? Before answering that, I'd sort of simplify it and ask what exactly is agility and what that means for a financial team. So agility is basically the ability to move quickly, to make decisions quickly and effectively. Now, why does a financial team or a CFO need to be agile is, going back to what Mr. Javed in the fireside chat said, is that there's constant changes mushrooming everywhere. So specifically with Saudi in mind, I could give you an example of Zatka and e-invoicing. A decade ago, this kind of digital transformation was not thought of. It wasn't something that was on the books. And again, now we're seeing it more and more every 3 to 6 months. There's a new law, there's a new update. There are multiple changes coming into the way we do business. So an ERP specifically sort of ties that all together, and taking away from what Mr. Naser said earlier is that when you have so many different stakeholders involved, so many different beneficiaries involved, there's a lot of data that we need to collect. And even if it is being collected, which most of the time is not being collected, it's collected in different places and different silos. Now, putting that together itself is a huge problem. only then do you as CFOs get to do your jobs in terms of financial analysis and decision making. Statistically, and again, there's centuries worth of experience in this room, please correct me if I'm wrong, finance teams spend 75% of their time cleaning data and correcting data rather than actually analyzing that data.
Yeah.
So that itself takes away from your role and the strengths or the value that you could give the company. So if I were to answer it simply, an ERP would basically collect all of your data in one place, streamline it, and give you back the power as a CFO to make the right decisions for the business and actually make you a pilot and a strategic enabler of the business. So I would conclude my answer to this question by saying that more often than not, an ERP is looked at as an IT expense, but it's actually a business investment that helps the entire business on a whole.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, George. Thank you. Well, going back to you, Naser, as you have been through some experiences in transformation in public and private sectors, can you share with us what would be the risks that can be taken into consideration when it comes to ensure more successful implementation for those?
Okay. Before
from the user point of view, he was from the solution
right,
point of view,
right.
From the user point of view.
Before I put some lights on some real lessons or conclusions that we draw from some journeys that I have been through, let me just tell you the example of myself. I've been into public accounting for a few years, and then with the oil and gas doing some financial work, spending most of my time in generating reports and not analyzing and drawing conclusions. So at that time, years back, we haven't been into this level of automation and digitalization and AI, but there have been some application solutions, ERP in particular. So, and this tells me, that lesson that told me that I have always maintained to upskill myself beyond finance, especially in the digitalization age. I've been an accountant and analyzer for a few years, and then when Saudi Arabian oil company moved from the legacy system to SAP at that time, I had no clue about the system and what does it do, except from the concept and end user perspective. So in order to go and move into other implementation projects with some of the affiliates like Saudi Arabian Total and Chaos, etc., I had to go and bring myself back to school and try to learn more about ERP. So I went into the certification program that used to be done in Germany, but they have opened some unit. So I kept myself for 5 successive weeks for more than 18 hours a day trying to learn about the configuration of SAP, not from the end user, but not from technical perspective, but from functional perspective. Trying to learn how to set up new company codes, chart of accounts, transactional, etc. So I did this whole exercise, and then it ended up with the 2 major exams. They used to be in SAP Finance and CO, controlling 2 modules within finance. I flunked the first exam. I couldn't pass it. It was so hard to me.
Yeah, I think that's you're right, because most of the challenges that faced during that transformation is the lack of understanding or maybe the change.
It's a change.
Accepting the change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a new language to me, but I had to go and do it. And I passed that after that and became a certified, what I call solution consultant. From now on, my career has drifted and shifted from being pure accounting and financial to more of a business systems analyst that can understand both the language of finance people and the users and the business and the programmers. So we've been keeping for another few years to be building the business case to configure the system to match the CEO wishes with the programmers. So I'm the liaison between them. So that this tells me my lesson on moving into keeping now I think maybe it's too late for me to go and learn about blockchain and other sophistication, but I think it's our role and obligation to maintain our subordinates go beyond being a CPA or a CFA or a CMA designations to more of a solution with the fintech side of it. Now, to answer you back the main question, on a nutshell, for like 4 transformation journey, huge, that has happened. Number one that I've seen, there is always consistently a lack of communication across all levels of stakeholders, internally and outside, about the change that is happening. Ambiguity is all over the levels. People misperceive what is going to have, and they prejudge, and some quit the job because they know that they will be fired in 3 years or one year because they are going to lay off people due to optimization of the project processes, etc. So that misperception always is there. The change management, very poor. I've seen it in most of those journeys. The involvement of the recipient of the service is nearly zero. From, let's say, when we're talking about vendors, buyers, beneficiaries, stakeholders, patient, whatever. They are always away, and they misperceive what is going on that. And the other thing is that, which is the major one, is the risk of failure due to not involving the employee of the company at all level, the people who's doing the tasks, who get their hands dirty with the work, involved upfront to listen to them and take their opinions. How do you think that we'll do the business in the future? Let's partner together. Let's have a shared vision where we can have a bright future for the company because it's based on your efforts. These messages that has to come all up, top down, are very inefficiently utilized in most of the world journeys for transformation. So we have to get them involved. We have to make that message consistently available, and unify the targets and the objectives. So I think those 3 main things are the things that I've seen them the most.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. The clear vision and supportive vision from the top level, very top level, and going back to the lower layers is very important to empower those. Thank you, Naser. Murat, if just a bit of enlightening maybe in your area. Our main theme here is strategy and technology. So aligning, as Alhussain maybe enlightened at the beginning, when the others, the strategy sometimes is aligned toward the new technologies that are rapidly growing and aggressively growing. And this, you can see some technology that came up and disrupted the whole thing. So even the strategies and the upper level has to align. And we can see that especially maybe in the auto industry, in the telecommunication. For you, Murat, being in the auto industry in Lucid and previously in Mercedes-Benz and others, can you share with us some sights about this?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much for that question. I think everybody's interested in cars, and there's a big disruption and change happening currently. On the one hand, it's about technology itself, moving from well-known, very well-developed combustion engines to electric vehicles. So I did the change myself, right? I was over 25 years with Mercedes. The company that invented the car, 140 years old. I was in Stuttgart in Germany almost all of my life before I moved here to the region. And when Lucid knocked on the door, I heard the first time about the company, in fact, and I saw it's an electric car company, and it's a future technology. And everybody is now moving to electric vehicles, and everybody knows also the success of Tesla. So I myself did the change, stepping out of the comfort zone, we're being with an established, well-renowned company, trying something new, trying something on the green field, especially coming to Riyadh. The company just was founded, so it's also like a greenfield and startup environment. So this journey gave a lot of experiences for myself too. And then with this Saudi Vision 2030, having the goal to industrialize the country also, not just to consume and sell cars, but also to develop cars and produce cars. So that Lucid is the first manufacturer who has built up a factory here in Saudi Arabia, and we have Saudi-made cars. It's the first Saudi-made cars here in general, and we just received this certification. So the interesting thing is, if you look, I'm from Germany, so the German car manufacturers, they had a difficulty to move away into the future. So there was a lot of resistance of the engineering side, the technical side. So it's something that is established, and why should we move into something which is like awake? So they tried to put it on the long range, but then Tesla came and overtook everybody. So even then the governments started to enforce electrification of cars. So the interesting thing is, if you look into the news, that the success of the Chinese car manufacturers, so they learned from the Germans. They copied, but they didn't copy the old technology, they moved directly into the new electric technology. And this is also what's happening here in Saudi. The government here took the decision to electrify the country. So there's this goal by end of the decade of, I think 30% of the cars that should be electric. So it's a challenge, big challenge. And we are at the beginning of that. I think what is important is that with this change, with this transformation, also idea is to industrialize, but also to create employment, to create jobs for Saudi nationals. Not just simple jobs, but also valuable jobs in the technology area. So we are somehow in a transition phase, and the country aims to produce 500,000 cars by end of the decade, from zero. Right? If you look into, for example, Germany, this car industry defines also the image of the country in all over the world. Right? So therefore, this is a very important decision, and it's interesting to be part of that. To see, and it's a little bit education to inform the people about the benefits of the new technologies. But I can talk about the benefits a lot, but I think the best thing is just to go to a Lucid showroom and take a test drive and try it out. You will love it.
Yeah, excellent. And I think that new technology is being introduced lately and being very successful. We can see how Lucid is progressing in the country and where it is headed to. Thank you for that. Well, going back to you, Alhussain, about this, talking about the leaders, with all these, rapid changes happening, how can they maintain their resilience, Alhussain? It's not only about, getting there, it's about continuity and maintaining the resilience.
Okay, for finance leader, when a rapid change happen, we should focus on short-term adaptability with long-term stability. And I will share with you two real stories happened to me. One in strategy, one in technology. We CFOs, like when we work on budget, there is like 3 months, 4 months, and it's our lucky day when we wrap it up, get it approved by the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you take 1 week off. And what happened in January, I lock it down, it's been approved, and I'm not going to share where that story happened, but I will give you a real example of another industry. Let's say that you work in a real estate, and your strategy is to buy old building, knock down and rebuild. That was our strategy. Okay, what I did at the time, I designed the budget, the system, policy, procedure, all my people get skilled on that.
Right.
In May, I got a call from the board telling me that change in strategy happened now. So no more KDR, knock down and rebuild. Let's do light revamping. So light revamping, that requires another cost, another fund, another skills,
Another budget.
another contractor, another budget, and you name it. Another procurement, and so on and so forth. So what to do at that time? Like, I had to go back to my team. It's a shocking news for me. I need someone to
observe.
to absorb me first.
Yeah.
But like, as a leader, you should take all of that anger now. So I had to sit with my team. I shared the new board vision with them. I told them what's the benefit for them now. So for you to get this expedite and they work on it, you should tell them what's in it for them. So what's in it for them is the learning, new skills, numbers are gonna change. And what I really did, all right, I showed them what I want. It is their part to navigate their way through how to reach me there. This is empowerment. So I empowered them. I was like, anything you need, any skills, any training, even I opened overtime for them. I was like, whatever you want, just reach there. And what we have to do at this time, you have to have an open door policy as a CFO. No more scheduling. Just open the door, walk in, get any feedback from me, any directions, so that like we can at least do it like I was requested to do this within a month. So I was amazed by that rapid change is when new leaders are born. All right, you will come and you will see some part of your team taking that initiative more responsibly. They really work hard on this. They spend time, they want to learn, they want to change. And by the way, that I will say that only 10% of the whole team. The 90% are resisting change, complaining, negative, which by the way, it really helps during this rapid. You need pessimistic people, by the way. They will tell you things that you didn't even know. Sometimes pessimistic people are misleading. So you need to have both parties at the same table. And after you do that, and while in fact you're doing this, you should monitor the performance. There should be KPIs, and also you should archive every move you do, so that, you know, with this rapid change, you don't lose profile and files and things here and there. With rapid change, there is always come the people burnout. So you should really take care about your people well-being. I remember one of the accounting manager, I walked by his office and he was shouting at his team. I walked in his office and I was like, what one decision I can make now that you will be happy tomorrow? He said, I want to go to Prophet Muhammad, to Medina. I was like, tomorrow you're there.
All right, okay.
Take your family, you go also to Mecca. Just come back fresh, please.
Well, he doesn't know what is waiting for him after he comes
Listen,
back.
because he really works so hard. And part of that, you should reward your employees for the hard work they do when rapid change happen. I remember in Saudi Aramco, we had an acceleration program, and we really spent so much time on that. And one day they were like, take the days off and come to, there is a whole room there. And when we entered, there was a stress management trainer. He was like giving us lectures on how to relieve all of that stress from the work. So from that, in fact, I depicted the same thing in Dar al-Riyadh. The other story I would like to share with you, it was the ERP migration. When that happened, I talked to the CEO that I want to send a letter to all our suppliers and customers to tell them about our migration that's gonna take place next month. And he was like, why are you doing that? This is internal thing, you really don't need to. I was like, I need to buy their loyalty and trust, just
absolutely
if things go south, you know? So we shared that with them, and we migrated and we found out everything was successful except for vendors with letter A. We lost all the invoices with any vendor start with A. So we couldn't, like, no invoices in the system.
Whoa, something went wrong.
That's
yeah.
very weird. I didn't know how that happened. Maybe George will tell us later on how things happen like this. In
Was it
ERP.
Urdu?
It was the A, just the A.
Not Urdu, okay.
So we went back to our vendors. They anticipated that change. They thanked us for looping them in ahead of time.
Okay.
So when you have this kind of rapid change and resilience, you should get all the stakeholders, even as I told you now, the customers, the people. And the last thing I would like to conclude here is to have business continuity plan.
Yes.
It's very important in this rapid change. And for that, you should have a backup plan for anything that you think there will be a major change in. And you should focus on your core operation, simplify it. There will be no redundancy or bottlenecks that will stop that rapid change from happening.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Alhussain. I cannot add to this. It's, but one key point that I personally learned throughout my professional career is to get the people buy-in. This is the best way to adopt their productivity and the loyalty. And whenever any change happens, like the example that you showed, Alhussain, that you explain to them not how to do the job or when or what, explain why you want this. This is the golden question, why you want this to be there. Because the worst thing that can happen to any employee is to tell him just go right or go left without knowing what is going on. So they should know what are you expecting from any doer, any person, so that they know if there is a change in plans, what is behind that. Thank you very much for this. I think, are we on time or we still have some time for questions?